McIntyre takes his national open.
We are two dads in our late 30s on a continuous quest to get better at golf, whilst also balancing full-time jobs, happy wives, kids and a dog. Join us talking about our golfing journey with a twist and get involved in an endless endeavour to keep it in the short stuff.
So we are absolutely delighted to be joined today by former European Tour Ryder Cup player Stephen Gallacher. And as you'll know, if you've listened to episode 1, the Stephen Gallacher Foundation is going to be our selected charity for this year. Stephen, welcome to the podcast. I guess first and foremost, could you give our listeners a kind of an overview of the foundation and the main kind of aims and goals of what you're doing?
Absolutely. Thanks very much for having me on, and thanks for considering my charity, for the fruits of your year. Hopefully there are plenty. But no, I started this 13, 14 years ago, and it's basically one aim. It's just to get as many kids as we can playing golf. It's as simple as that. And we have processes in place from a certain age all the way up. We'll start sort of beginners on flag events, which is short courses, 36 shots. They can only 3-putt. They can only have a couple of shots at a bunker. And once they get, they can get to the 5th. When they get to the 6th, they get a different wristband. Get to the 7th, they get a different coloured wristband. So they're getting personal bests, but they're also developing. And when they can complete the 36 shots with a flag in their hand, that's when we deem them sort of ready to play stroke play. But it's just a really fun way of getting them involved. A parent has to walk around and sort of score their cards and stuff. So they're learning etiquette, they're learning to have a bit of fun. They're learning new friends, they're learning a new game. So we're trying to get them at such a young age where they can enjoy it. And then once they do that, they progress to stroke play, and then hopefully they join a golf club. And then that keeps the sort of cycle of golf going. That's my aim. It always has been from the start. And we've been lucky a couple of times to have a few people come through that have went on to greatness, and that's just a thing that happens every now and then, and you've got to shout from the rooftop. Cammy Adam last year getting in the Walker Cup, and he won my under 10s way back in the day, and he came back and helped out. So when you get success stories like that, it makes it all worthwhile.
He's just a solid player as well, Cameron. He's now out in the DP World Tour along with 5 or 6 other Scots as well. So that's brilliant to hear, and it's good that simplifying the game almost so that kids don't get scunnered straight away and making it a bit different. What was a moment that you said, right, I'm starting a foundation and this is what your plan was?
Just been on tour, going for dinner at night with Paul Laurie. Paul started his foundation in the sort of early 2000s, and just listening to him and sort of seeing how enthusiastic he was and what good it was doing. And I just thought, what? He was up north, sort of up that area. I thought it'd be great to start one down the sort of Lothians borders area. And it was just through speaking to Paul, 2012, and sort of copied a lot of the stuff he'd done back then in the day, and he was very helpful. And just sort of being good mates with him. And I thought, we're blessed to call it work. I mean, we're just good at a sport, and you get to travel the world, and you get to play courses all over, and we love the game. And I just want kids that maybe don't get the opportunity to have the same love of the game that I've had. Because you know what it's like. It can get you pretty quick once you get the bug. And some people just need the opportunity to try it, to then go, I really like golf. And that's part of where the sort of foundation comes in.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess from that side then, with the kids that you're taking on to the foundation, what would be that kind of one value or lesson that you really hope that every kid takes away from the foundation, even if they don't reach the kind of the better amateur side or even go pro? What's that one thing you'd love for them to all take away?
Well, number one's, our sort of slogan was, play golf, have fun. And it's just the fun element. But there's so much more to it than that. There's the health benefits of golf, that it's been worked out by scientists that it prolongs your life. So if you start early enough, and it's good fitness, you meet friends. You join a club. All my mates now are still my friends from Bathgate that I play golf with. Also, that golf is not just about being on the tour. You can be a PGA pro, you can work in the pro shop, you can be the secretary, you can be a greenkeeper. We've had kids. Caris Irvin came through, was a very promising girl, still plays for the county, and she went through the foundation, decided she wanted to go into media. So we got Iona Stephen to come along and sort of help her and shadow her a bit. And now she does a lot of stuff, communication stuff for the RNA, and works with Scott Gourley. And there's just so much golf brings. It's where a lot of businesses are done. It's where all your friends are. It's a social place where we have birthday parties in the golf club, and it's just I think the best sport in the world.
I think we'll both agree with you on that one.
Aye.
If there is if unlimited cash and you could magically add a new resource, whether that's a facility, a program, a partnership, other than being partnered with this ill-informed podcast, what would it be and why?
I would go into primary schools and I would get golf into the curriculum if I could do that, because I do it to a lesser extent just because it costs so much money. But we go into quite a lot of schools, and we go into artistic school and stuff like that. And I just think that if you can get golf into them at such a young age, because I think schools where you learn all your sports, which ones you like, which ones you dislike. And I just think that if you gave golf at school level and curriculum level, I know that there'll be people in there that I've had kids, that I've came back and said, thanks very much for, coming to the school and doing that. I didn't realise my grandfather played golf, and now he takes me out for golf on a Sunday afternoon. Just that kind of thing. I was fortunate enough back in the day that golf was in my family, so that was my introduction to golf. I had no option. I was playing golf because it was in the family. But for some people, that haven't got any golf in their family, it's a tough one to get into at a young age.
Aye, because most of it, as you say, that it comes from somebody that wants to take you first and foremost. And I've never really thought about that. It's no part of the curriculum at school. I think that would be brilliant, especially in Scotland. It's where the game was born.
Well, we've all got football pitches and rugby pitches and that, and basketball courts, but I don't know many that have got golf courses. Mm-hmm. It's getting a bit better now with simulators and stuff like that. But even if schools had access to simulators, I just think that's what we need to do. Me and Paul and Kadrina Matthews spoke about this. We spoke about trying to set something up, primary golf, trying to get it in. The government tried it back in the day, but it didn't work out. They didn't have a follow. We've got the follow up, you see, so we can give them a introduction into it, and then they go, right, that's good. What do we do now? And they didn't have the follow up back in the day, so at least me and Paul can say, well, we've got some flag events that you can come and play. And we spoke about it and went to the government, but they just didn't have the funding for it, unfortunately. And I think there's a trick missed there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be. I certainly know from my school days it would have been amazing to have more on the golf side rather than badminton and volleyball.
We've got a couple of, but that's all a great part of it as well. Volleyball, badminton, basketball, swimming. You want to get the kids to try as many sports as you can. Everything. You just never know where the next genius is. That's just so hand-eye coordinated. We've got a couple of minibuses, thanks to Arnold Clark, who give us those, and we staff them. We take kids out of P6 and 7, take them for 6-8 week blocks, and the difference is phenomenal. With a PGA, all getting PGA qualified training, so you're getting the basics straight away, taught properly, and the difference is unbelievable. And I think the intake in golf would be huge. Given we're the home of golf, why should we not try and get it into schools as quick as we can?
100%. So I guess kind of moving on from that, how do you really hope that the foundation is going to shape the future of Scottish golf over the next kind of 10 to 20 years? Is that kind of what you see is really kind of driving it into schools, or what would you see as the next 10, 20 years of the foundation?
I'd love to get into schools. As I say, it's just monetary. I think what I'm trying to do is it's if you've got the pyramid. I'm trying to widen the base of the pyramid. It's just as much as I can. You know, you get your Cammy Adams and young kids up the top who have came all the way through, but I think it's as wide as the base as you can go. Is just participation levels. It's just trying to put more events on for the beginners.
Yeah, and I think it all ties in with what you're saying there. I think that's widening that base of the pyramid, getting more into golf, and you're going to get more Cammy Adams, as you said there. So, with that in mind, is there any juniors in the foundation at the moment that make you think, this one's got something special that they might?
There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many, to be honest. Yeah. I went to all the finals day last year, the under 12s, under 15s, and the under 18s one, and the talent's just abundant. You know, there's a couple of Fraser Walters, Stella Walters, their brother and sister. They're very, very good. Practice so hard, play everywhere all over the world, homeschooled. You know, they come and play in a lot of the events, and there's just so many young kids now that are. I think technology's helped a massive amount. You know, the golf clubs now to fit your height and weight and how hard you hit it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you know, I had a set of cut down John letters, and that was it. You had to learn how to. No wonder we all had swings like Lavy chains, because they're too heavy and stiff. But now these kids can hone their swing. You know, they can work on their technique at a young age. Where, you know, we just got told to hit it as hard as we could, and that was it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely moved on. I think I saw you had the guys at a Trump tournament just the other day there, and some of the scores round, because that's a difficult golf course, and some of the scores for these kids were absolutely fantastic. So yeah.
I mean, and the good thing is, you know, this is the sort of fallacy with all these high-end courses that, you know, get played a lot by Americans and are sought after. And, you know, Trump have been fantastic for us to put on events. That's the second one we've had up there. You know, Renaissance are great. Glen Eagles are putting on flag events, you know, this year. And every time I have my dinner, Troon, Turnberry, Kings Barnes, Dunbarney, Magic. So, you know, these courses all give back in their own sort of way. And that's what I really, you know, get. Personally, I can't thank them enough, because, you know, that's the stigma we need to break, that it's elitist and stuff. Yes, they've got Americans want to come and play our best courses, but, you know, they all give back as well to grassroots, which is fantastic.
So with the juniors, if you could bring any golfer in the world, past or present, alive or dead, to run a masterclass for the juniors, who are you phoning?
I'd probably get my old coach back, Bob Torrance, Sam Torrance's father. He just had a certain way with kids that would make you work so hard, and you know, that's where I got my work ethic from. And Gordon Sherry, Al Forsyth, Dean Robertson, Raymond Russell, and Andrew Coulter, a host of guys that came through the Scottish scene, came through Bob, and, you know, just the path he would set you down. Give you the work ethic, and I think that's what you need. I think you've got to have the drive, and you've got to want to put in those hours. And Bob done that. I don't know. He was just whatever he said. He was an unconscious sort of psychologist as much as he was a golf tutor. And, you know, he was funny. He was humorous. He could make it enjoyable hitting balls, and you know, I was blessed to have worked with him for a long time. So he was certainly the one that could instill sort of what you need to be a top golfer. Obviously, having Sam as his son as well helped.
Yeah, I obviously well renowned in the world of golf is Bob Torrance as a coach. So what we'll do is we'll step from the academy tee to the first tee of your own career now. And when did you first realise that golf could be more than a hobby and it was eventually going to be a career?
Well, I was pretty poor at everything else. So my football career was not brilliant. I was in goals, and because I was the fattest and the tallest, and I could kick it the furthest. So that was the three big things to be a goalie back in the day, and I was a bit mental. So all the attributes. But then just sort of I moved quite a bit. about as a kid. I was in 4 different primary schools just with my dad's job, up to Aberdeen, back, lived in Livingston and Deans and stuff, and then moved to Bathgate. And once I moved to Bathgate to go to high school, I just used to go there. I just used to go for the golf club. I was a member since I was about an hour old, right enough. My father joined me the minute I was born. So I think I was always going to play golf, and I was always going to play at Bathgate. It was just a matter of time. But once I got to high school, I started to sort of not go to school. If it was nice in the afternoon, I was on the golf course. It was as simple as that. I was never going to be a lawyer.
So
put it this way.
That's amazing. I mean, in your career, Stephen, you'll have played with some of the best players in the world, the greatest ball strikers of the last 30 years. Who surprised you most when you actually saw them up close and kind of played with them?
You're right. I've played with a lot of good golf, a lot of good ball strikers. To be honest, back to my era, Tiger. I played with him at the Walker Cup '95, and he was just a skinny kid from America that we'd heard about him, but we didn't really know about him. And then when you seen him up close, you just thought, well, that's different. That's different. I've not got that. And we knew he was destined. So I just feel blessed to have been, part of that process of watching Tiger, playing events with Tiger. Because when you played in an event that he played in, it was amplified 10 times in any other event, But I mean, I've also, Westwood, Louis Oosthuizen were just guys that just flushed it, just hit it in a bit of string. I've played with, obviously, Mickelson, Ernie Els, Fred Couples was just amazing to play with, just his tempo and his rhythm. That a lot of these guys, some of them have funky swings, some of them have amazing swings, but one thing they all do, they all have that rhythm and tempo that's just so good to watch with, that even when you start playing with them, it rubs off on yourself. When you play with Ernie, the Big Easy, you end up swinging a bit slower and a bit like him, and you end up watching these guys and seeing what they're doing. But I still think Rory on his day is tough to beat. He's probably as good as I've ever played with.
That is a list of golf and royalty right there. I mean, that's just the dream to have. I've not even seen half of these guys in the flesh, but no, that's really interesting. That some surprising names in there like Oosthuizen. I knew he was obviously a very good technical golfer, but you're saying he just flushes it constantly.
He's amazing player.
So you've won some big tournaments yourself. You've been involved in a famous Ryder Cup win at Gleagles, just up the road from myself. Is there a win or a performance you're especially proud of that maybe doesn't get talked about enough?
I think my first one, the Dunhill, was a big one. The field in that was amazing at the time, and I hadn't won for so long. I got on tour in '96, and this was 2004. So I think the longer you go, the longer you think, have I got it in me? And I'd won at every other level, amateur level, under 18s, Challenge Tour, PGA, Regional Tour, all that stuff. So you're just wanting to win as quick as you can. And I had to wait, but to wait and do it at the home of golf, in a playoff was special. But I think the best one for me would have been in India in 2019 with my son caddying for me. I had absolutely no form going into it, and just that's what golf's amazing for. That something clicks. I'd spent a bit of time with the Titleist boys on the range, with the driver, and found something with that. Drove it great for a week, apart from one hole, and just to win with my son caddying for me was extra special, to be honest.
Brilliant. And then that's our next charity bet is the Hero Indian Open, so it actually ties in really well with interviewing yourself.
It's amazing.
I would pick someone that's got patience. They need to be. It's one of the toughest courses we play. It's immaculate. It's hot, very hot. But if it's plays tough, it's just there's trouble both sides. You've got to play well that week, and that's just what happened to me. I basically played well for the week, and I seen the putts roll in the last day, and that was it. And I think it was Sigel. I think I was 8 or 9 under. So it's not a low scoring event. It's quite a you've got to plot your way around there, and someone that's straight off the tee. There's been a few guys that have won around there that are very, very straight. You don't need to be overly long, but you can be straight's good, and you just got to have a good patience level and an acceptance level. So I have no clue who you're going to bet, basically. But that's the blueprint. If you can work out for there.
So we're looking at
I'm not allowed
accuracy
to bet, obviously, as well. So I'm banned from betting through my profession. But if you were asking me that, I would pick someone like that.
No, that's good advice, and we'll see what we can do. So, I guess taking that into consideration when you think about tournaments and how to play, if you could kind of replay one tournament with the knowledge that you have now, which one would you choose, and what specifically would you do differently, do you think?
I actually thought about this, and recently, and somebody said to me, because I'm playing seniors golf now, you got any regrets or anything? I was like, there's nothing really that springs to mind. I mean, I've been beating a couple of playoffs, and I've hit good shots, and the other guys done something better. So there's only maybe one thing was when they had a go at Wentworth, I needed a 3 at the last to tie, but they just designed the new last green, and I couldn't stop it on the green. It was just one of those ones that I probably couldn't stop my 4-iron on the green. So I just laid up. I had 3-iron wedge, middle wedge, and lipped out to finish third. But it also meant I got my card that year. But if I go back, I probably would have had a smash at it and try and get it up there and chip it in or something like that. But again, I can't really. There's nothing jumping out where I thought, I've not missed a tiddler or anything like that. And I even thought, about the Ryder Cup. I played great against Phil. It's just he played better. So there's nothing you can do really. So I've no regrets. I'm one of these guys that looks forward more than I look back. But that's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's one of these sports where somebody on the day can do a 1 in 1,000 thing. There's nothing that you can do about it. It's completely out of your hands. So going back to the courses you've played, what's the toughest course setup you've faced, and just what made it so brutal?
I think it must have been Carnasty in 1999, surely. My goodness. You had to lie down in a dark room after that. That was wild. And my good pal won it as well. So he just out-battled the field in the end, and we all know what happened to Jean. But it was just one of the tournaments where anything could happen. The rough was absolutely brutal. The weather was windy. The setup was too extreme on my point. But at the end of the day, somebody has to win it. I've played in a few US Opens that have been similar, that have been absolutely brutal. And if it's for once a year, I don't mind that. It's just the battle of just survivors. You've just got to win that way, rather than everything goes out the window and it's just a case of how can I win this? Chip and putt every green. But that was Carnoustie when it's calm, when it's windy, when it's raining, when it's flat, when it's soft, it's tough. So, you add in brutal rough and a big high wind and firm greens, and it was almost unplayable. But, you had your chance. You're up against 156 guys. Somebody had to win it. And Paul won it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. It's a vivid kind of memory of watching Paul win that, and yeah, you remember the conditions, how tough.
He shot at 18. His 4-iron at 18 was just off the charts.
Yeah.
In fact, he played great the 4-hole playoff. But yeah, that's what happens.
His win is actually probably underrated because everybody focuses on the Van de Velde collapse, but Paul played phenomenal in the final round. That kind of gets forgotten about. But yeah,
I mean, we all know John played better. Well, he had the chance. It was on him to lose. It was his to lose.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get it over the line. You know, if he was doing it again, I bet you would say I would hit 9-iron, 9-iron.
Aye.
You know, but these are the things that in the heat of the battle, he's obviously playing that well. He thinks he can hit a 3-iron on the green. If he hits 3-iron on the green in 3 putts, everybody goes, that's one of the best rounds of golf I've seen. What a winner. You know, but Paul, what people forget is Paul posted it, but then he had to play 3 of them in the playoff as well. It was a 3-man playoff, so he played the best in the 4-hole playoff by far. So you know he's. I know what you mean. People focus on the actual how tough the scenario was with the venue thing, where at the end of the day somebody had to win it. There's been US Opens that have been won way over par as well, and it's just the battle of the fittest. He held his nerve the best and chipped and putted better than the guy, and then when the playoff came, he played brilliant.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. So we touched upon a lot of the golfers you played. You talked about, you know, watching Ernie Els and you start to swing slower. And I guess looking at that from other pros, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received from another pro? And did you actually follow it, and did it make a difference?
Well, the best advice I ever had was from my uncle, actually, my Uncle Bernard, when I won the Scottish Amateur when I was 17. And I thought, right, I'm going to turn pro. And he says, no chance. You're nowhere near good enough. He says you need to win as much as you can, and play in the Walker Cup. And once you've done that, you're more ready to turn. So thankfully, you know, he was in the family and he helped me out. And I got in the Walker Cup, entered tour school, and myself, Padraig Harrington, David Hill, Mark Foster, I think 4 guys out the tour school. I think we all went and got our cards. And it was invaluable advice, because looking back, I was too early. But again, if I don't have that, I might have tried to turn pro and I might have been in the wilderness because I wasn't good enough. So brilliant advice from him. And you know, this is the kind of advice, and most guys will give you any advice you want. You know, Padraig, I speak to Padraig regularly. Did do even when I was playing. Gary Orr was a big friend of mine. But most of us, if we've got any problems or anything that you're working on or any advice you need, most guys are very, very open. Like Seve would help you. You would just ask him. Alazabal, Woozy. I was over and played in a pro-am in Barbados, and Woozy I was struggling a little bit, and Woozy and Peter Baker on the range, right? You're just doing a wee bit of that, just feel like this, and you know, all of a sudden you play great. So I think golf's one of these sports where we all realise it's that tough, you can never master. So I think we're all pretty open to give our advice and help when needed.
Good. No, that's great to hear that. The connection there with other golfers and everybody want to help out, and that sort of brings me on to 2014 Ryder Cup. I mean, I remember watching it, and it was just phenomenal. And tell us about that. How was that overall experience? And is there anything you can tell us about that weekend that the cameras didn't necessarily capture?
There's probably a lot, but I'll get the deal for that. The thing with the Ryder Cup is, for me, it was the process of getting in. It was tough. You know, I knew it was my only chance of getting in my era. The last time it was in Scotland was 73 at Muirfield, so this was the only chance I had, a generational chance to try and qualify. It's only 35 minutes up the road, 40 minutes up the road. So I made a plan to try and get in it, and then obviously got picked and just missed out by a shot both sides to qualify on the world list and the points list. So Paul picked me, and it's just the best, toughest, longest, hardest week of your life. You know, it's the pressure's intense. The minute you get there on the Monday, you've got an itinerary that sees you through till Sunday, and then that's it. You know, it's so structured. It's the third biggest sporting event in the world. And we had a great time. Paul, you know, leave the egos at the door, guys. We're all sort of pulling for each other. We're all blue and yellow. Carpet was blue and yellow. The fish in the fish tank were blue and yellow. You know, everything, all the quotes on the walls from Seve, Bob Torrance, all the players in the past that have played. It was very inspirational. Anytime you walked, and you're sitting having lunch, and every night, every day, with Rory, my world's number one, with Stenson and Westwood and all these guys. It was just one of the best weeks ever, and anything that got asked, anything you wanted, you got that week type thing. It was, how do we, and the big thing was, we're still, although we'd done well before, we were still 10 behind or something like that on the grand scale of things behind America. So all our only focus there was to try and leave the 2016 team with one less to try and get ahead in the big picture. And, we had Fergie come in, give us a talk and talk to the caddies and all that, which was brilliant. I'm a Man U fan as well, so there was a few Arsenal, a few Liverpool fans in. He was giving them a bit of stick. So, yeah, and Fergie came in, just talked about us being favourites. He's like, favourites are a good thing. He says every time every time we play, we were pretty much favourites, and that's a good thing because the bookies are they're generally not wrong. And he just says, don't get complacent, play your own game, just keep doing it. And if you see someone getting beat, red on the board, but they keep chipping away, they're fighting. Everybody's just got to fight for everyone. And then at the end, he says, are you allowed to swear? No, sorry.
Aye, don't worry, you're allowed to swear.
He says, you better fucking win because I've got 10 grand on you. So,
you don't want
to.
You do not want to disappoint Sir Alex.
And and he was right, wasn't he? So, but it was great week, and then after it, we end up in the American team room, and I'm playing table tennis with Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler, who have both got their tops off, wearing kilts, and Jim Furyk is the other guy. So me and Jim are fully clad up, no danger of taking a stitch of clothing off, playing these two pin-ups and steamboats as well. So it was, Jamie Donaldson might have been sick in a fire with an expensive Macallan or something like that. So, there's my dog up too. You're all right, get back down.
I think we could allow Jamie that after his winning shot against Keegan Bradley.
Yeah, he's still one of my best mates. We see him. He's on the seniors tour now as well, so we see him quite a lot. We have a good bit of laugh. But there's certainly nobody enjoyed the beat bit more than Miguel Jimenez. He absolutely loved it. He was our vice captain. He had the sommelier around his wee finger. He was drinking amazing Spanish reds every day, making us all jealous.
Brilliant.
But it was a great week. Paul had some great vice captains there that were just legends of the game. Sam Toms, Miguel Jimenez, Alazabal, Des Smith, Padraig Harrington. So
yep.
A lot can be said about the captain, but it's the team effort that makes the Ryder Cup what it is, and you just need to look at Luke Donald. When he's picking his backroom staff, most of them are the same guys. A bit of continuity, and he knows exactly how much how much of a part that the backroom team and the staff are of the whole week. And that's just basically, and you're friends for life now after that.
You could see that as well last year, the level of detail that Luke Donald went to, and I think it's Eduardo Molinari, it's his stats guy as well. There's so much that we don't see. And
I'll tell you one little thing that happened, which maybe people might not know, but one of Eddie's stats at Marco Simone was that the Americans were better bunker players than us, fairway and green. And Eddie had worked out that the way they rake the bunkers with a certain rake, so Europe changed rake to make it a little bit wider, so the ball didn't set up as well.
Wow, that's the level of detail.
It only needs 2 bunker shots or something like that can sort of influence. And America, Keegan Bradley has the whole. He picked the way they wanted the course last year as well, with zero rough, soft. So all these little things. It's the same in football. It's the same. It happens in every sport. If you can, once the playing ground's been set, they can't alter it from then on. But you've got a little bit of a say in how you want the course to play to start with to suit the strength of your team. But Eddie's magic. Eddie, I mean, he works with a lot of these guys anyway. He's got all the stats. He'll do deep dives on all the courses and I'm sure Luke uses them as pretty much counsel pairings and who complements each other, picking the team. And then you've got your ex-captains like Bjorn and Olazabal to back up with. It's just a great fit for everyone, and he was the best man for the job as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing stories from all of that time. It must have been, I can't even begin to imagine the experience that must have been. Must have just been incredible.
I think if there was one thing I would change, it would have been, and it was a tough one. I only realised this after was when I was playing practice rounds and going about the place. But being the only Scot, I felt like I had to stop and sign all the autographs and give everybody a bit of time.
Mm.
Where Rory and these guys, they played in a lot of them before. You do it at the end, spend an hour at the end and do it all. But when you're on the course and you're doing your prep and all that, just do it. So I think that would have been about the only thing I would have changed of the whole week, was just to allocate your time a bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have that kind of focus on the golf first, and then
and then
side after.
Listen, I'm going to be signing for an hour and a half or whatever, just what the top guys do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the top guys. We talk about the young players of today seem to be unbelievably prepared. It's a different kind of mentality. What would be the biggest difference that you see now from young pros nowadays versus to when you came through, as to how they kind of prepare themselves for golf?
I think we've touched on it a little bit there. It's all information, technology and information.
Yeah.
You've got all your stats now. You've got a TrackMan or a GC Quad giving you all your numbers and how fast you swing it, how far you hit it. You can work on your technique in the gym. Bryson showed that you can you don't even need to hit balls. We all know how much Rory works, and you've got all the recovery stuff now, ice pools, and you've got saunas, and it's just, and technology with the golf equipment now. You can smash it, and it doesn't really. Driving, I would say, is not as good an art as it was when I was first coming up. You had to driving was a skill. Now it's about power. The game's a power game now. And you're right, though, the young kids are just they're just so professional. Now, I would say when I came on, you're still an amateur. I came on, It took me a couple of years to adjust. You're going for the Lytham Trophy and the Leaving Gold Medal to playing with Nick Faldo and Ian Woosnam and Seve the year later. So it was out the blue. Your games were where these guys now, the young kids coming out of college in America, and they've got opportunities now as well. Look at Cammy Adam, who's in the top 20 of the world rankings, and he goes straight on the DP World. If you're a top 100, you go into the Challenge Tour or the Hotel Planner Tour. So you've got opportunity, you've got the technology now, which all your information you need, how to improve, how can I improve here? You've got every stat. Is it physical? Is it I need to be longer? No bother, just go in the gym and do this for 6 weeks, and you'll get 5 mile an hour. So, and then the clubs now as well are a bit more forgiving to smash the driver, and then all you need to add onto that is skill and work ethic. You need a little bit of talent, but you need to have that work ethic. You need to want to do it, and ultimately they're the guys and girls that get through are the ones that want it more.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better set of answers there to those questions. So what we'll do is we'll jump on to some more sort of fun questions now. And if you could take one part of any other pro's game and bolt it onto yours, what would you steal and why?
I think I would take Tiger's brain. I just think he's thinking. His confidence, and he's almost willed 10 tournaments in with putts or chips. That one when he had his sore leg, I'm winning this, and I just think his mentality, I think his acceptance levels, I just think his will to win, his goal setting, everything was superior than most people, and I think his biggest attribute, Tiger, is his attitude and his mental strength.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer, because I was expecting some sort of long hitter or a short game that you would have stole. But Tiger's mentality, he never looked like a player that was ever going to falter when he was contending. He just thought he was always going to win. It didn't seem as if he was under any pressure.
He had the fear factor as well. When people seen him on the board and he was a serial winner,
Yep.
that puts you under a wee bit of pressure. And I think that comes from just the way. I just think that's just his inner belief, and his aura that he had about him, that you would almost feel like you're one down already or two behind him already. He had that in him. And I think that there's not many people like those that come around a lot. Nicholas had a bit of that as well. Tiger had a bit. You'd say Scheffler, and Rory are maybe the two just now that if they get up the top of the board, you think, well, a good chance they're going to win. But nothing like I've seen with Tiger.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's he just seems to mentally just be so far ahead, and it's almost he's won before he stepped on the course. It was a bit like Fergie's Man United teams, I suppose. Yeah. If golf had walk-on music like darts on at the first tee, what would yours be, and why that track?
I must admit, I'm not a big fan of that, but it's got a place. I think it would be something by the Smiths, something by Morrissey or the Smiths. I like the Smiths and Morrissey. Or You'll Never Walk Alone. There you go. That's a good one.
Interesting one for a Man U fan.
Man U / Celtic. Celtic's my team, but You'll Never Walk Alone. There you go.
Fair enough.
That'll get me pumped.
Nah, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. None of us support any side of the Old Firm, so you're fine. What's the strangest fan interaction you've ever had during a tournament?
I think generally the fans are okay. I've seen a player fight with a fan. I played in a tournament when a player was having scrap with a fan in the Honda Classic in America.
Wow.
And it was with Robert Allenby.
Oh, wow.
And he got heckled for about 12 holes by this boy. And he just had enough. And he just went over and was, come on then, in the car park or whatever. And it was quite, first time I've seen anything like that. But he took it for a bit. I think something had happened. It ended up in the boot of a car or something. I don't really know the whole story, but I think something had happened with Allenby and the boy was remembering about it. And he flipped, went after him. My own personal, I think when the Ryder Cup, when the guys that sing the songs start singing songs about you, and it's a bit tough to take that one. But generally, the fan interaction's normally pretty good. The European fans are magic. They kind of know it. Just boils over every now and then in America, but I'm sure that'll get sorted out.
Aye, I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will. So, moving on, obviously being our kind of Scottish golf podcast, if you could host a 4-ball with any three Scots, golfers or not, alive or dead, who would you like to have a 4-ball with?
Well, the one I play with now is just my two mates and my son. We play everywhere. But if we're going sort of celebrities and stuff like that, I'd get Sean Connery would be a good one to have as a partner.
Yeah.
I loved him in Bond. I met him a couple of times as well through Bob Torrance. He was a sort of a hero of mine growing up. I think I'd love to have played with Eric Brown, who was a member at Bathgate Golf Club, like my uncle, and he was a captain of the Ryder Cup as well, Bathgate Bairn, and played in the Ryder Cup. I'd love to have played with him because I've heard so much about him, and I know that's what got my uncle into the Ryder Cup, and that's ultimately what wanted me to play Ryder Cup. So it's basically came through Eric Brown. And I may as well chuck in Jock Stein. I'd love to have had the pep talk like what Fergie had given us from another top football manager.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to want to miss a short putt in front of Jock, are you?
No, I think these guys, Fergie, Bob Torrance, Jock Stein, were all brilliant man managers, and they knew what to say to get to get you to do your best. And I just like the psychology of that. I just think there's people that, can touch you in a way where it makes such a big difference. And I think he obviously had something. Jock, he was phenomenal. And Eric Brown, I'd love to have just figured out, what made him, because he was so passionate and he didn't like Americans. He wanted to hammer them all the time. And they were getting beat a lot. And I think my uncle's first one in '69, I think they tied or something like that. And I think Eric was the first to be up there. But so there you go. That would be my 4-ball.
Well, that would certainly be a good 4-ball to follow there. What's one golf myth or misconception you wish that the public would just drop? There's obviously one that's going on a lot just now, talking about the long putters because of Batia's win. But is there any myth or misconception that you would?
I think the biggest one is that it's an expensive game to play. Not in Scotland, it's not. Michael McEwen bunkered, and there's been a few boys that are trying to. I'm a big advocate of, municipal courses.
Yep.
So I think the more of them we can keep, the more you've got a chance of trying it at a reasonably priced adventure. There's municipals everywhere. I know a few of them are shutting down. A couple in Dundee, a few in Glasgow they're looking at. But I think we've still got a lot of municipals. I think we should be trying to champion them, and I think they should get subsidised every now and then as well to let people play. Also, the putter. I think the putter should be the longest. Should be the longest club in the bag. The driver should be the longest club in the bag. So
yeah,
yep.
I think it just makes it easy.
Yeah. That's a brilliant point about the council courses, because last year, Dave and I played North Inch a couple of times, which is in Perth, not far from myself. And honestly, it's a fantastic course and really cheap to play. And there's some really good council courses in Ayrshire where I grew up, and I don't think they get used enough. People maybe overlook them, but yeah, there's some brilliant municipal courses out there.
Oh,
yeah,
there really is
as well. And the councils have got they've got a chance to subsidise it as well and just get people playing. It's another way of getting people to try golf. And everybody's, yes, there's the Muirfields out there, and there's Troons and Loch Lomans and stuff like that. But there's also some, like you say, some great municipal golf courses that you can pay and play all over Scotland. Over in Arran and West Lothian, there's a few that you can go and play. And I know there's the ones in Ayrshire you're talking about. And the St Andrews ones that you can pay, and there's municipals all over in city centres.
Yeah.
And I just think we need to shout at the rooftops for these, and as the home of golf, it's not just about people coming and playing, Americans coming over and visitors playing. It's about celebrating that we are the home of golf, and we've got affordable golf, and we've got, if you want to go and join one of the richest courses in the world. So that's just life, isn't it? That's what happens. So I just think hopefully the councils can get the money to keep them open.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a huge thing for getting people into golf, is that access to the courses. And yeah, we've got some fantastic council courses. So we've discussed, the biggest names in golf that you've known, you've played with. But what I want to ask is who's the most fun you've had to play around with that kind of keeps the laughter going into the clubhouse?
Most of them are pretty good, to be honest. Guys that I'm pal with would have been guys like Mark Warren, David Lynn, Jamie Donaldson. You get a great laugh with them. It's proper funny, and funny off the course as well. David Lynn's more the practical joker. Jamie Donaldson's just, until you've met him, you don't realise how funny he is. And Mark and me are best mates. He's a big Blue Nose, and I'm a Celtic man, so we get on a house on fire.
A bit of to and fro.
A bit of good banter. we're close off the course as well. So guys like that. But I'm good pals with Alistair Forsyth as well. It's good to see him come back out on tour. Spent a lot of time with him. His mates, good friends with Simon Cann. Spend a bit of time with him off the course as well. He's a big Arsenal fan, so we're a lot of guys. Most guys are great. But now they go to the range after the course, so there's not much socialising.
No. So we've got some listener questions as well. So we got 6 sent in. The first one comes from Lee Elson, and it was, how was it playing Phil Mickelson in the Ryder Cup at Gleneagles?
Well, I'd rather have played somebody else, but it was great. I've actually played with him 3 or 4 times in those couple of years coming up, so I knew him pretty well. I played with him at Oak Hill and played with him at Scottish Open a couple of times, practice at the Open. He just came down to one putt. He had a 20-footer to stop going 3 down with 7 to go, and he holed it, and then he had 4 or 5 birdies from then on. And if you take sort of Tiger away, he's probably second or third of him and Ernie are probably the 2 other guys that would have won 6 or 7 more majors with Tiger. So, you know what? I gave it my best shot. The team won. I had no regrets at all about it. It's just when you only play a couple of times, obviously, the more you play, the more chance you've got. But if you can give it your best shot, that's all you can do, and that's all you can do in any sport. And then match play's a bit tougher. It's a shootout, isn't it? So, but I was happy the way it went.
Good.
100%. So this question is in from Andy Anderson, and it is: should you get free relief from a divot in the fairway?
Andy, I think you should. A seeded divot anyway. If it's been seeded, if it's been prepared, any divot, yes. But the only hard thing is how do you work out what's a divot and what's not? I think it's a shocker when it happened. You hit it 350 down. Rory done it the other night watching him. He's hit it 350 down the middle, and he's in a divot, and and he duffs it, and you're like, it's a sore one. We've all had it. I mean, see when you play at St Andrews in the Open, you play certain courses in the Open. Us as pros, we practice at divots because you're going to get in. You're going to be in a couple. It's inevitable with the collection runoff points. So, if you're playing links courses, you'd be dropping it everywhere. I think it's got merit. I think it's one of the ones that you chuck to the R&A and let them ponder over it. The same with the long putter, same with the arm lock putter. Driver length, driver head size. They're talking about changing the ball back. All these things are up for discussion. Again, though, you have the ability to still practice at divots. So this is the bit that sort of I can see when they don't do it. But I think it can be a bit unfair.
Yeah. So Luke Donald was recently announced as Europe's captain for the 3rd time in a row for 2027. But do you think Tiger Woods would be a good captain choice for America? So they've not confirmed the USA captain as we speak. This has been sent in by Grant Donnelly, and we'd like to know your opinion if you think Tiger would be a good shout for the USA captain.
I think it's Tiger's to knock back again. He knocked back the last one as well. If I think he's going to do it, I think it'll be here. I do. He's friendly with JP McManus. Used to come over and play in all these pro-ams when GP had them. He loves Ireland. Used to come before the Opens. I think it's his turn. I think he's in the right part of his career. Unfortunately, he's injured and senior now and stuff, and we still don't know if he's playing the Masters. And I just think I think he's going to do it. It's 100%. Is he going to maybe wait till he gets to America to give himself home advantage? But I would love to see him do it this time. And Luke 100% was the right man for the job for us. And if he wins again, I'd give him it again. If you want, it should be the right man. I really think that. I think it's Tiger's time. I'd love to see him be the captain.
No, I think he'd be amazing, but there's a lot of debate
And the thing is, as well, is Tiger's one for history. He's a big historian of the game. It's the anniversary of the Ryder Cup. It's it was 1927. It was founded by Samuel Ryder. So I think Tiger likes these sort of poignant days in golf. So I hope he does it.
That'd be amazing. I think it'd be amazing if he
And I
does.
hope he gets beat.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, fingers crossed. So the next question is from Stuart Milligan, and that is, how did captaining the junior Ryder Cup team compare to your own experience of playing in the Ryder Cup?
It was a different experience, I would say, but equally as nerve-wracking. You know, the amount of sort of preparation was put in place to go and watch the kids play, go and meet them all, get to know them, and to do it home and away. First time I'd ever been to an away Ryder Cup. But it's so much more nerve-wracking when you're not playing, because when you're playing, you're in control, and you can it's up to you. You know, you just go through the motions, you go through the processes and stuff like that. And when you're the captain, you're like, oh my God, you think of all the possibilities, and you get really nervous. It was more nerve-wracking being the junior captain, just because I wanted them to do so well for the kids. We got a record victory in Rome. The kids were fantastic. And in America, it came down to we were level going into the back nine, and we lost out the back nine, just a few putts here and there, but they gave a brilliant account of themselves. And like you say, I was more blessed to have having a front seat to watch the next crop of superstars come through the boys and the girls game. And I've no doubt, as history has said, that there'll be former number ones come through the two teams that have the American side and my side, the Europe side. There'll be major winners. There'll be world number ones probably, and Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup players. So to have a front seat and watch them up close was an experience that I really loved.
Brilliant, and you can hear the passion when you're talking about it there. That's hopefully we can see some of those golfers come through the senior level pretty soon. Another question we got sent in from Scott Guthrie was, what's your best memory on a golf course?
I think any time you tee it up's a good memory. Going to be in it. I think that's the thing with golf, is you're only as good as your last round. I've had so many memories, going through Magnolia or down Magnolia Lane. My first time I played my Masters was special. I've played 4 Opens at St Andrews. Obviously the Ryder Cup as well. I just think anytime, I think there's milestones, you break 100's memorable, you break 90's memorable, you break pars memorable, you shoot a course record's memorable, you win a tournament's memorable. You beat my 2 mates, me and my son beat my 2 pals the other day there. That's more memorable than anything else. We play them all the time, and trying to get the handicap systems right, algorithms and everything coming into play. So that's and that's Aidan and Stevie, by the way. They know who they are, trying to get extra strokes out of us. But whenever I just really enjoy playing just now. I'm enjoying playing a lot more, got a bit more time. So played with Mark Warren the other week there, played with Alfred Scythe and Mark on Monday, and played with mates at the weekend and stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying playing. But I wouldn't say there's. No. I think memorable. I shot 62 in Dubai when I had 10 under the last 10 holes. That doesn't happen very often when you do things like that.
Yeah.
I shot 64 at Loch Lomond last round as well, Scottish Open. I remember quite a lot of that. But I think it can be the smallest thing that can. And the best thing about this game is one shot's all you need to make it memorable, to bring you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Aidan and Stevie, your handicaps are clearly getting clipped the next time you play.
Honestly, they don't even get embarrassed now. Taking shots at par threes and stuff like
that. So our last listener question is from Declan Chalmers, and that is, what's the best course you've played in Scotland?
Apart from Bathgate, I think if I love Carnoustie. I think if I'd want to play the rest of my life, it would be St Andrews, just because it changes so much. You can have a pin 6 on one day and 96 on the next day. But I think we've got so many golf courses. You know, I'm playing Troon at the end of the year. End of the month. I've never played that yet. Kingsbarns, Dumbarnie. You know, Renaissance. There's so many I want to play. Dornoch. I've got the courses I want to play. That I want to play all the ones at the top: Brora, Durness, Tain, Galsby, Askernish. They're the ones on my radar for playing more than anything. I think we all know the ones that are fantastic in Scotland, but Carnoustie is the one for me because I think it's the fairest. I think rain, hail or shine, it's tough. St Andrews, it just has that extra thing, but Loch Lomond on its day, Turnberry on its day, Renaissance, anywhere down the east, so the coasts are all brilliant. Royal Aberdeen, Trump, Dornoch, Croon Bay, there's so many of them.
Yeah, I mean, there is. We're blessed in Scotland for our golf courses. So finally, we've just got a wee quick fire round, and it's just sharp, smart thinking. Just answer whatever you feel at the two, and it's no thought process is needed into this. So
I don't think much anyway.
First one is driver or irons?
Irons.
Draw or fade?
A draw, and what was that other thing?
A draw or a fade?
Never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, links or parkland?
Links.
Sunrise or sunset golf?
Sunrise.
Match play or stroke play?
Stroke play.
Hole in one or albatross?
Albatross.
Rain or wind?
Wind.
And finally, the serious one, Tin Cup or Happy Gilmore?
I've never seen any of them, so.
That makes that one easy.
I've seen Caddyshack, so there you go. Caddyshack will be my one.
Caddyshack, there we go.
That's fine. A Bill Murray classic is absolutely fine with me. So,
exactly.
I mean, we can't thank you enough for taking the time out your day to do this for us, Stephen. It's great and an insight into the Ryder Cup there that I never thought I'd ever get. So just thank you very much for doing this.
No, thanks for you guys as well for supporting the charity. So every little bit, we're non-profit making, so anything that comes in just gets distributed into that might, whatever you get, whatever 400 or 500 quid can put on a couple of events for kids, and it might be that one that someone in a certain area. We're branching out a little bit. We've got Claire Marie Macaulay, Cal Macaulay's wife, going to be doing a little bit more flag events for us, sort of in the Central Belt and more into Glasgow as well for the first time. Well, we're sort of edging through there, so you never know. That might be the one event that someone's not played, and it could be the next world number one. You never know, or the next major winner, Paul Lawrie.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No bother. Take it easy.
Cheers.